Hey, this is Zacklog the Great, and tonight I'd like to talk about why I memorize poems and why I think you should do the same. So, before I, get into my argument, so to speak, I just thought I would lay out a little information there. Um, in the 5.5 years I've been doing this YouTube channel, I have recorded 143 poems. Almost all of those I did from memory. There are a couple of exceptions. By the way, G.K. Chesterton's Lepanto and Robert Browning's Childe Roland to the Dark Tower Came. Those are not exceptions. I did those both from memory. Um, now, I will admit I have an exceptionally good verbal memory. I am pretty sure that most people could not do what I have done. But I think most reasonably intelligent people can memorize some. And I think you should. And honestly, if you chose to watch my YouTube channel, and voluntarily, you're probably among those who have that capacity. So, why do I memorize poetry? Why do I think you should do the same? At the most practical, useful level, um, everyone's heard the saying, "You are what you eat." Okay, the food you put in your mouth and digest, that that becomes part of you, that makes up what you are. And if you eat terrible garbage food, you're going to feel terrible and feel like garbage. Okay, if you eat good healthy food, you're going to feel healthy. Everyone kind of gets that. What fewer people think about is you write what you read. Okay, you write and you speak the things you read. Okay, what you read and changes changes your own language. Okay, and if you want to be more interesting, if you want to be more persuasive, if you want to make more of an impact on the people who hear you talk, memorize poetry. Okay. Why? Because not only are you reading it, you're internalizing it, you're making it a part of you. It reshapes the way you talk. It reshapes the way you think about language. And so, at a very practical level, you write what you read. You want to do you want to write better? Do you want to speak in a more persuasive fashion? Memorize poetry. Okay, it becomes a part of you. It changes the way you talk. Another reason, if you appreciate poetry already, but haven't really memorized any or memorized much, when you memorize a poem, when you spend that much time with it, you come to understand it at a much deeper level. For one thing, for me, I've found several times when I'm reading a poem, it's actually kind of odd. The first time through, it's very easy to get caught up in the rhythm, in the sound of it, and lose track entirely of the meaning. And then if it's worth it, if it's good enough, I might go back and read it again, and kind of get more of the literal meaning that time. But if you spend enough time with it, if you read over it again and again, and if get those phrases inside your head, you have the sound, of it, you have the meaning, and you have this strange point where they intersect. And that is with well done poetry, that is a fascinating thing itself. The union of the sound and the sense of it. And it's as Alexander Pope so ably demonstrated in the excerpt of his poem, of one of his poems commonly titled Sound and Sense. It is amazing what a good poet can do in uniting the sound and the sense of the poem. And you only will really grasp that if you spend a lot of time with it, if you read it over and over again, and if at some level you kind of internalize it. And so you'll, second reason why you should memorize poetry, you'll understand it better. If you already like it, you will learn to like it more. And you'll see new things in it. There are several poems I've done where I start out, it's just kind of okay. I kind of like it. And then as I'm reading it, as I'm memorizing it, I keep on finding new things and I keep on making new connections. And I learn to like it much better over the course of, learning the poem. Third thing. Third reason you should memorize poetry. That's what it was made for. Okay? Part of the reason that poems have rhyme and meter is so that they can be easily remembered. And you can tell the difference between poetry, metered rhyming poetry and free verse when you try and memorize free verse. There's no guide to it. When you're memorizing a metered rhyming poem, those elements, the rhythm of it, and the rhyme, help it fasten in your mind. It is a kind of mnemonic device. I wish there's probably psychologists who could explain some of this better than me, but the reasons for this. But it's definitely true. So that's part of why it was written the way it was. And so make use of it for that. Use it as it was meant to be used. Memorize it. That's why it's written that way. Final reason. Okay. And hopefully the best. Like I said, I've memorized and performed about 140 poems for this channel so far. Well, actually, there's a few more that are not posted yet, so you can tag those on. But I couldn't reel every single one of them off the top of my head. You tend to lose them after a while, but also it would be fairly easy for me to pick up most of them again. At the same time, it can never really be taken away from you. Once you've spent that time, once you've learned it, once you've internalized it, it's become part of you, it can never really be taken away from you. I have an Amazon Kindle here, okay? And it's convenient. At the same time, anything on that device, Amazon could probably, I'm pretty sure Amazon could just, remove from it, without ever bothering to ask me. And, I probably clicked on that in EULA somewhere or whatever. I have, my library. I have my books here. I have quite a few books. I have more books than you can see from this camera shot. But those could be taken away. Those could be taken away just by a disaster. House caught fire. Starting here, almost all of those should just be done, gone, poof. It could happen. Or they could be physically confiscated. They could be, taken away by agents of a psychopathic government, which these days seems far more likely than it used to. They could be taken away from me. But they neither, natural disaster nor, tyrants are ever, nor, some, tech overlords in, some Silicon Valley, are going to take away from me the poems I've memorized. They're a part of me. And that's a wonderful thing to have. If you locked me in, solitary confinement, by myself, I would know I will never really be alone. Because I can have a conversation with William Shakespeare and G.K. Chesterton and Rudyard Kipling and Robert W. Service and John Donne and, a dozen others. They will be, a little piece of them will be right there with me. And that's a wonderful feeling. And, like I said, I think most people who elect to watch these videos, who enjoy my channel, most of you are probably going to have the capacity to, to put away a few. It's actually kind of funny. I almost forgot to say that. One of the poems I recorded earlier this year, I think, it's Song by John Donne. Part of the reason I recorded that was because I was just flipping through a poetry anthology I had lying around, and I came across that one. And I realized, I have this memorized. I don't recall learning it. I don't know why I chose to, but I knew I had it almost word perfect. It just had to get a couple things straightened out, and so anyway, like I said, if you are watching this, if you choose to watch my videos, you probably have the capacity to learn a few of them yourself, to memorize a few. Pick a few that you like. Maybe ones I've done, maybe an entirely different set. Maybe you'll memorize poems I find entirely obnoxious. Whatever. It's worth trying. God be with you.